Welcome to the Theseus Reassembled Podcast, baby. Here we are. We're doing it. Bryce, Randy, Legend, Jenkins with us. What's up,
Legend's
man?
crazy.
Yeah, big time.
Let's lower the standards.
Yeah, easy. So, Theseus Reassembled, the name, coming from what I believe the greatest dialogue in the entire MCU, other than anytime Thanos opens his mouth ever. But in WandaVision, Vision and White Vision going back and forth on, them saying who is the real Vision, or either one of them the real Vision. And the whole Theseus paradox actually being being pretty cool, pretty nerdy. But that's the inspo for the pod name. Go around. Okay, I'm gonna start with Jenkins. But just to do intros to kind of, establish what's going on, can you just give a little backstory kind of on your upbringing and what made you kind of fall in love with the universes, that you're in love with now, and kind of what puts you on that journey to fandom?
Yeah. Well, I think it starts when I was a kid. I didn't really go to the movie theater that often, which is kind of a surprise. I went like maybe once a year. And so for me, going to the movies was like an event. It was like something I got to do not very often. So when I got to go, it was like this big thing. And then as I got older, obviously I could take myself to the movies, which is, probably the greatest thing that ever happened. And I got more into stuff. And obviously I leaned towards superheroes. And as a kid, I would always watch the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. I think that's what did it for me. In superheroes and the nerdum, I guess. And then, I guess 4 years ago, I got into doing like content creation stuff. And here we are, I guess.
Here we are. Fantastic. Yeah, I remember sitting on the plane and meet Randy. I've known Randy my whole life. Met you at playing college football, and here we are. How about that? But I mean, we've been talking about doing a podcast for years, right? And then I remember on the plane coming back from Thunderbolts, telling Jenkins like, "Hey, we're doing this," And Jenkins was like, "Dude, I'm all in, ready for it." So yeah, that's awesome. All right, Randy.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, kind of like a similar thing. Jenkins, I genuinely, I don't think I have like a memory as a child of the movies. If I do, it's not from a superhero movie, but it all came from being a kid and the home videos, getting the DVDs, like even renting from Blockbuster. And it was like you said, Jenkins, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies were what got me into it. But what really stuck it for me to kind of in like you said, the nerddom, like the comics and all that, was the video games. The Marvel's, I think it's Avengers Assembled on like the OG Xbox.
Whoa.
Was a major thing for me and all the boys around the house. And that's what really got me into it. But then Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was excellent. Really fell in love with the character though. And I'll stand on this. My favorite Spider-Man is Andrew Garfield. And that is what made me fall in love with Marvel in general. I don't remember seeing like the first Avengers or anything in theaters, but I remember seeing the Amazing Spider-Man in theaters. So that's what really locked me into it. And from that point forwards, the MCU, of course, the Infinity Saga, I think locked like the whole world in. And I just hadn't locked out. I kind of stuck with it the whole way. So that's what really got me locked. And then more recently, preparing for the pod, I've really locked in on some outer stuff that has been, expanding my horizons in the nerddom, and I've really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. How about your favorite Spider-Man movie? Go ahead and hit him with that.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll stand on that. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, so for me, it's always been Star Wars. Like, and as a kid playing the Lego Star Wars games is kind of where I truly fell in love with it. And then I had on a PlayStation. I remember on PS2, I didn't have a memory card. I'd have to pause the game and not cut my PlayStation off, or I'd lose everything that I'd been doing. So I've done the game a lot of times, repeatedly, because my game didn't save. But that's kind of when I fell in love with it. First game ever on Xbox 360 was Force Unleashed. Playing that, which I think is peak.
Wow.
Anyway, and then, but the big thing about it is that nothing culturally, aside from holidays and stuff, but there's been no cultural event that has brought my entire family together like when Star Wars announced they were bringing back the series and bringing back the Force Awakens. And so, I mean, me, my mom, my stepdad, and my sister, so us five, her sister, their family of five, my two grandparents, and my girlfriend, who's now my wife, all went to the theaters on Christmas Day and watch The Force Awakens. And then it was that way for Rogue One, Solo, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. So, I mean, even obviously they're mixed reviews critically.
Well, hey,
but
while
it
we're
didn't
while we're
matter.
introing, favorite Star Wars movie, go.
So favorite Star Wars movie in the 9 is Empire Strikes Back for sure.
Okay.
But Rogue One is so beautifully done, and I am in love with Rogue One. But I still have to say I think best is Empire. So
I'm not gonna lie. And mine is Revenge of the Sith, which is another like super hot take. I think
nah,
it's gotten a softer take like in recent years. Like people like especially like as our generation has grown up. Like I think people like that's kind of our childhood Star Wars,
right?
And I think that'll it's gotten softer. But like when it came out, I was like opening night theaters for that one just a couple weeks ago, and that was so fire.
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith definitely my favorite.
Revenge of the Sith has caught fire like in a good way.
Yeah, like he said though, it's because we were kids when that came out, so we didn't have like the platform to talk about how good it was. And then when we got older, obviously, now we're the ones with the voice. And so we're the ones talking about the best Star Wars movie being Revenge of the Sith because that's the one we grew up with. It's crazy how that works. Because kids nowadays are probably going to say that about the newer movies, which is crazy to think about.
I was just about to say.
And that's going to really be mind-blowing when that time comes. But let's just hope it doesn't get that.
Yeah.
What about you, Gene? What's your favorite?
Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie. But I would say Revenge of the Sith is my favorite.
Let's go.
Of the 9.
In the 9.
Yeah.
Right.
That's tough.
That's awesome. I got Revenge of the Sith 3. We can get in rankings later. I won't make anybody.
Yeah, we're on a different path here.
But then, I mean, Batman is. I've always been a Batman guy. Still a huge Batman guy. Yeah. Batman can beat anybody with prep time. I mean, we can just kidding. Maybe.
I don't think you are, but okay.
But yeah. So so I'm huge into DC because of Batman, and so. Shout out to Jenkins with the connection on Kyle, who got me the Nightwing book signed for writing the whole Red Nightwing omnibus. That's really cool. That was such a fun trip, dude. I'm so thankful I got to go on that with you. I had so much fun.
That was such a great trip, and even the whole experience was solid. We got blessed with that for sure.
That was insane, absolutely incredible. All right, so moving along, Randy, I'm gonna throw it over to you. Okay, with what's going on right now in the world of the universes.
Yeah, I think the world of the universes. Obviously, got some major movies coming up. Fantastic Four and Superman are going to be a big summer, but the universes were shook over the weekend with the major news that the Avengers movies, both Doomsday and Secret Wars, have been pushed back 6 months apiece to now being December releases, which is just kind of earth shattering. Changes the way the MCU is going to flow going forward because now you got Spider-Man before the 2 Avengers movies. So it major news.
Yeah. So how about that, Jenks? What do you think about that?
I mean, I think the Spider-Man movie is also going to get delayed, and it's going to be 2027. And the thing that is craziest about that, I say that because they haven't even started filming yet. So, and that's a year to go. I mean, I don't think
that'd be incredible.
Yeah. But what makes that crazy is if that happens, Fantastic Four comes out this July, and we won't get another movie for over a year. If that happens,
it'd be 17 months.
Yeah,
it'd be a 17, which would be, to my knowledge, the biggest gap in the MCU. I know we did a year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, would that be the biggest gap?
That'd be the biggest gap.
I believe it will be the biggest gap. I think the Deadpool before that was it not?
Was it? Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right.
Maybe not.
So there are now some gaps. So like we know we're not going to get another Marvel movie where I think we're getting The Devil Wears Prada 2 when we're supposed to get Avengers Doomsday. So Disney has plugged that gap. But there is one gap in between the Avengers movies still where we could get a movie, which could be interesting. It could be where, like Jenkins said, we could get a Spider-Man get pushed back to there to fill that gap and it hold the same release schedule. But it is very interesting because Marvel doesn't do. It's the December 17th, the week before Christmas, December 18th, December 17th. That's a window that Marvel has only done one time before, which was Spider-Man No Way Home. Which, I mean, obviously worked out really well for that specific movie.
Yeah.
But that's a window that Marvel has not poked before. And I think it could be Disney wanting to get back into that window because that's their Star Wars window for, Rogue One, 7, 8, and 9.
Right.
Or the Avatar window,
Right.
which is also Avatar did it in 2022, and then we'll be doing it again, and this year, 2025.
Right.
Fire and Water is that window. So maybe a shift for the whole future of Marvel, and instead of trying to hit the summer blockbuster, they go real hard on the Christmas blockbuster.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
And that is, I mean, that is hot, sizzling movie time for sure.
Yeah, and it's obviously sad, but I think I was happy to hear that news because I feel like they're rushing Doomsday, and they need to flesh it out.
I'll tell you what, when I heard after watching Across the Spider-Verse that the next movie was going to come out less than a year later, I was about to lose my mind in a bad way. I said, there's no way. This animation is so good. It's so detailed. There's no possible way they do that. And if they do it, it's not going to be as good. And they have a chance to do arguably the greatest the greatest trilogy in the MCU.
It could be the greatest trilogy ever made. It could. I mean,
maybe. Like, pushing Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it could. Right? It could get there.
I'm down for that.
Because it's that elite. So, I was really happy when it got pushed back. Obviously, we still haven't had it. It was supposed to be like last year.
And now, so that's another thing with these getting pushed back. If they're going to bring it to live action, that now splits the two Avengers movies. It's June 4th, 2027 window release.
Right.
So, we could get our live action Miles Morales in Secret Wars, which would be interesting. But, like, I do think the overall consensus on that news has been, like, I'm so glad they're doing it. Like, but, like, now there's so much pressure on them. There's more pressure now, don't you think, that they have to get this right, because now everybody's like, oh, they're pushing it back to increase the quality. Does that kind of like?
Well, if that's the main lens that everybody's looking at, then I guess
the quality's like it has to be
more scrutinized.
It has to be bad, because like they didn't push back, like Spider-Man No Way Home was one that they didn't push back, and like it had like some rough visual effects, but it still popped $2 billion. So like I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Maybe the Thunderbolts, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Maybe the Thunderbolts, which would great critically, but probably not going to flip a profit at the box office.
Which is great.
Does that affect? Do you think that's why they made the decision to push it back and push for maybe just to make people hunger a little bit more for the movie?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's very interesting.
I heard today that they're doing something with Doomsday that they've only ever done with Infinity War, which makes me excited. And that's that they're still writing the script, like as they're filming, like they're making edits to the script as it's going on.
Okay. Wow.
Could also be,
could be a bad thing.
There's like 70 people in this movie.
Yeah.
There are like 1,000 people in this movie. So it could just be trying to get the right people on set. Like,
and I keep hearing like confirmations and stuff. I keep hearing confirmation stuff about like more people being added to the cast, and they've already started filming, which is a little weird, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they're cooking then.
Yeah.
They're cooking.
As long as they get it right. I mean, I don't think people will wait forever on it. But yeah, I'm very excited for that one. So that's like the biggest news of the week. Everything else was overshadowed by that major news. Other than that, we got an Ironheart trailer, which big enough deal.
Yeah,
here in a couple weeks.
Our trailer,
which is okay. And then I think that's about it. The only other news was kind of rumors, which I didn't know if you wanted to delve into that too much, since you're not a big spoilers guy.
Right.
But it is DC, which is your
Yeah, that's
and it is about the Bat family.
Okay.
The Teen Titans. I've seen it in the trades.
I've seen this.
Teen Titans is going to be led by Damian Wayne Robin.
Damian. How about that?
That is I'm excited.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm a big Damian Wayne fan. I don't know how many of us there are, but I'm a big Damian Wayne fan.
Nah, Damian is, he's the second best Robin ever.
Okay.
Sure,
that makes sense. They're doing the Batman the Brave and the Bold movie, which is going to have Damian in it. So to me, it would only make sense that he would be the leader of the Teen Titans if he's already in the universe. So I'm glad that's going to be what's happening.
Very excited for the DCU to start cooking.
Dude, it's going to be
awesome. Oh yeah, when it starts rolling, it's going to be big, I think.
So going along with the pushback is some news that I'm incredibly excited about. Is that there's now a duel in the box office.
We didn't even talk about
Man,
bro.
wow.
This is nuts. Hit on that
Yeah.
for a second.
I
Okay.
mean,
that. We're talking.
Denis Villeneuve dropping Dune Messiah and then Avengers Doomsday coming out on the same day. It'll definitely flip. I don't know. See, it has to gross more than Barbenheimer. What do you think?
Maybe Avengers. I guess it's Doomsday. I think is the name that it's been
Doomsday
assigned.
is
Mhm.
the common
Is
name
yeah. I mean, that's tough because Barbie and Oppenheimer did great numbers.
now. Right.
I like
It did incredible numbers. Barbie went insane in the box office.
Dune doesn't move off its spot for Avengers, does it?
Mm.
You think it sticks, right?
Oh, what?
It won't move off its spot. It'll stay
It'll
December 18th.
Nah.
It'll
It'll
stand.
stay.
Yeah, I think there's too much hype around it
Yeah.
now, just in the week of the announcement.
I don't
Now the
think
other news too is which
it's gonna be dependent on how big Doomsday is, because I don't think Messiah is gonna be as big as Oppenheimer or Barbie. In my
Right.
opinion, box office gross at least. So it's gonna be dependent on
very
how much
excited
the
for
Avengers
Messiah,
movies make.
Yeah.
If it beats that
And it's
weekend.
how I think Dune 2 has doubled or tripled its following since that movie. Dune in general.
Dune
not
in
general.
2, but Dune has since Dune 2, and it got love at the Oscars, which is
It
huge.
did.
You know?
Dune-
So
Dune 2 was definitely bigger, and I think than Dune 1.
Oh yeah. Well, they kind of got messed up with Dune 1 with COVID, because they sent it straight to HBO Max.
right.
Yeah.
I remember watching it when it dropped on Max on a couch in our college dorm room in Bonner Hall.
Yeah.
Watching
Wow, what a pool!
How about that? Look out for watching Dune though. But I think, and I don't know, I wouldn't say it's a hot take. Could be. It's up to y'all. But if Dune Messiah is an 8 out of 10, I think he's made the greatest sci-fi trilogy ever.
Not even close.
And
Yeah,
I'm a
easily.
I'm a
Yeah.
Star
If it's-
Wars
yeah.
guy. And I mean, so
If it's an 8 out of 10, that'd be major. That's big for Florence Pugh too, though. She'll be starring in both those movies,
Yeah.
which is crazy. That'd be
Yeah,
insane.
Wow.
schedule for her.
man, she's already like #1, isn't she?
is she not on a roll right
Yeah.
now? Oh my god.
My goodness.
Yeah. So shout out her if she gets. I mean, she'll be in Doomsday. There are some people who think that the Thunderbolts might. I've seen some people think that Thunderbolts might get a new Avengers movie in between the two Avengers movies,
Whoa.
and they'll be taken out of Doomsday. But
Whoa.
I think they've already been set up for it now. It's too late.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, they got to roll.
Yeah.
So
So, all right. Moving forward, Jenkins.
What's up?
Okay. Blast trivia for you.
Oh,
Right now.
okay.
Segment blast trivia.
What do I win?
Okay. Sitting here. Good
that's
question.
a great one. The budget's a little small right
Yeah, we'll
It's
get
a
to
give
it.
and take
We'll-
thing.
we'll-
It's-
I'll get back
It's a
to
give
you.
and take thing.
Okay. All right. We'll talk in our. We'll stay in our MCU talk.
Okay.
Okay. But can you name? Okay, it's 6 total, but the top 5, really it's top 3, because there's a tie
Okay.
for third. All right. But MCU characters who have now appeared in the most projects, and this is counting any type of facet. Okay, this is end credit scene. This is what if.
Is this
You know?
characters?
So this is
Okay.
characters. Okay,
All right.
so yeah, that's a lot to factor in. There's a clear 1 and a clear 2 and a 4-way tie for third.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and throw out number 1 or 2. Is probably Nick Fury.
Nick Fury is number 1 with 14 appearances
Boom.
in the MCU on Marvel
All right.
projects.
Great pull.
All right.
That's good.
2 is where it gets tricky. What if I said Thor?
Thor is actually 10th on the list.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy
Okay.
because he is the only standalone character to have 4 movies.
That's crazy.
4 movies. Okay.
Yeah. So good pull, but it's
Wow.
not top 3.
You hit me with a what if, which makes me think that Peggy Carter might be on this list.
Carter's not on it.
Okay.
She's in like every
All
one
right.
episode. That's kind of crazy.
No. That's
Like all of them.
Here.
So what if?
Yeah, that's
The
its
movie-
own
it
project.
Oh, that just
Right,
counts
that's-
as one
Yeah,
appearance.
that's
What if
okay.
the whole project counts as one? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Changes the calculus a little bit.
It's fun to think about.
Yeah. I'm kind of lost. Bucky?
Bucky is on there. Okay, he is one of the tied for third.
The
He's
4.
in 4. That's
How many-
tied third.
Okay.
11
Okay.
appearances is the third place spot,
11.
which is crazy.
Bucky
That's
is.
why. I mean,
figured.
okay. Tony Stark's probably tied.
Tony Stark is in that same category, 11 appearances.
Okay. Who's the 2?
It's an obvious. Dude.
Wow.
Who's in the 2 spot? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, you said it's obvious.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say it's obvious.
Okay.
It's a good one.
He's not who you think I'd say to be number 2, though. I would say that.
Can I ask for a hint? Does this character can I not have a hint?
Maybe.
Do they appear in phase 1? Do they appear in phase 1?
They do.
They do.
That narrows it down a lot.
Actually, every person on this list that I'm telling you appears in phase 1.
Okay.
So the 2 people that you're missing tied for 4th also appear in phase 1.
Would Captain America, Steve Rogers, be on the list at all or no?
Captain America is also tied for 3rd. Okay.
4.
With 11 appearances.
There you go.
Okay.
So you're missing 2. All right, the 2nd spot, and you're missing 1 more person tied for 3rd.
The 2nd spot's really throwing me off.
How many appearances does the person in second have?
12. 1 more than the 11 in 3rd place.
And Nick Fury was first place.
Nick Fury in 1st, 14 appearances.
And this person has more appearances than Iron Man.
More appearances than Iron Man and Captain America.
Is it one of the original Avengers? Can I ask that?
It is one of the original Avengers.
It is?
Yes.
Am I missing somebody?
Crazy. I think I'm ready to lock in an answer.
Okay.
How do we feel? We'll give Jenkins.
Yep. Give Jenkins a second here.
I mean, is it Black Widow?
It is not Black Widow.
Yeah.
You might as well just keep going in a circle right here, and we'll figure it out.
Hulk.
It is Bruce Banner Hulk.
There's no way.
12 appearances.
That's insane.
You can't forget in-credit scene Shang-Chi sitting there in his cast.
Wow. He's in She-Hulk.
He's in She-Hulk.
He's in What If, for sure.
Every Avengers movie.
So that's 4. He's in The Incredible Hulk.
He's in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Okay. Let's see.
Do we count his own movie? I have no idea.
In Incredible Hulk. He has his own movie.
Yeah. Did you count What If?
And we count What If. What is that?
I'm at 8 right now.
Not 12.
Not 12.
We're not at 12. What are we
Let's
missing?
see. There's definitely more.
Is the last person on our list we gotta get one more. Is it Hawkeye?
It's not Hawkeye.
That's who my guess was.
This person is crazy that he's tied.
Okay.
For where he's at, I will say.
Oh.
There's some big names that or it's not going to be like Spidey or anybody like that.
It is a he,
They
though?
went in phase 1. Who's that?
It is a he?
It is a he.
It's a he.
Okay.
Who appeared in phase 1. I think I got it.
Go for
it. Is it War Machine?
It is.
Let's go.
What?
It's tied.
That's unreal.
11.
He's in 11 movies.
He's in almost everything that Iron Man's in.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
He's always by Iron Man's side. That's crazy.
Well, actor was only in 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don to you.
But I could say the same for Bruce Banner.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's crazy, though. I thought that list was really interesting. That's why I wanted to throw it at.
That is an interesting list.
So
I think I was confident with number 1. That was about it.
And it will grow. Bucky will actually take that 2nd spot with him being, post Thunderbolts. Growing. Yeah. He's pretty much obviously.
Does Robert Downey Jr. Does his number start over for Dr. Doom?
Oh yeah.
It's so
because this is his character. So
what if there's some theories where it's not theory.
That's crazy.
It's not theory right now. We'll get to that later.
There you go.
It's still so crazy to me that we're not gonna have. There isn't an Avengers movie that doesn't have Robert Downey Jr.'s face on the poster.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
It's gonna be the biggest face. It's been the biggest face on every poster, and it's gonna be the biggest face on this one.
It's still gonna be.
You think they'll do like
Iron Man dies? Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
okay. So,
a little late.
Have you seen those movies? And he's still gonna be the biggest face. Absolutely.
Yeah. We're definitely getting. Or are we gonna get the half and half poster? You think for Endgame? Half Iron Man, half Doom. No, full Doom poster.
For sure. All right, Jenkins. You have a segment prepared for me?
I do have a segment prepared for you. Are you ready for this? Bryce, you're going to give me the... how should I word this? Let's see. You're going to give me the top 10 characters that you would hate to be roommates with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Top 10 characters. Okay, we're gonna have to narrow, I guess. And we have a universe
We'll go DC.
in DC that I would
Yeah,
hate
yeah.
to room with.
Yeah, we're pivoting from Marvel since we just
All right,
did a
that's
couple
fine.
of things.
Let's see
there.
how creative I can get with this. Okay. Let's go. I would absolutely hate to live with Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman.
Be the worst.
No kidding. That's a joke. How about, let's see, Killer Croc? You be one.
That would be
Okay.
a tough one for sure.
That
Yeah.
just pure schematics there.
Yeah.
It makes things difficult. Okay. The Joker, probably number one, I'd say.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he'd be a pretty interesting guy.
Oh, he'd be interesting. Zero ways I would want it to be interesting. It'd be interesting to him.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, yeah.
So let's go with. I think Damian Wayne is actually one of those guys. Okay,
God, he might be number one.
He's impossible to deal with.
He is a menace.
Absolutely
Yeah.
impossible to deal with. All right, how about let's go. You know, if we're just talking pure roommates, I don't think Bruce Wayne would be a great roommate.
Probably not. No.
Mm-mm.
No, don't
I don't
be a
think
good
so.
one.
Rich
So-
boy vibes.
Let's go. Let me think. I'll tell you who I would 100% want to be in the midst of this list of who I don't want to be roommates with. Wally West would probably be maybe number one.
Who you
Yeah.
want to room with?
Yeah, Young Justice Wally West.
I'm down with that.
Dick Grayson also probably.
Yeah.
He's high up there too. He's as cool as he gets, I think.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's move to some Suicide Squad members, probably.
Yeah.
There
Good place.
you go.
King Shark.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'd be.
I don't know. I feel like he'd be a good one.
Actually, that would be a nightmare. I think.
Nah, man. Just draw a border. I'd love to live with that guy.
Okay. Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
For certain.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's a great one.
Far too negative.
Yeah.
She's not portrayed pleasantly in anything that she is in.
No,
So-
and yeah, that says something for sure.
Right. I mean, that's who she is.
Nobody has
So
anything good to say about it.
that has to go a long way.
It's got you up to 6.
I'm at 6.
You're at 6.
Let's. Watchmen is a branch of DC. I'm going Dr. Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
And maybe Rorschach Brightwood. Okay. I might go
Ooh.
double
dip.
right there.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Love
double
double
dip.
dip.
Watchmen.
He
With-
might get all up in your business
Big time.
in a way that
Major.
you
He
probably
can't be
don't
pleasant.
want.
There's no way he's
No,
pleasant
yeah.
either. I also think Jason Todd as Red Hood would be super not pleasant also.
Okay.
So he
Give me one more big one.
he was in. All right, one more big one.
Wrap us up with something solid here. Major.
I'm gonna go with the Penguin. I would say Oz Cofflebot Penguin would be awful to be with
No
There you
argument.
go.
at any time. So yeah, there's a quick list of 10 off the top
Nice
of my
little
head.
10.
Horrendous roommates.
Don't think anybody can argue with that one.
Love it.
So that's awesome. All right, well, to get into the kind of the main topic and discussion of the pod today, Thunderbolts. Okay, what a success for the MCU. Okay, we just talked about it a little bit about how the box office and making money.
Yeah.
It's not always about making money
No.
because it went in with a pretty big budget and it made money. It's gonna be hard to in movie standards when it comes to flipping a profit, they kind of gauge differently. But Jenkins, I'll throw this at you just off the top, because I know you've had to do a ton of reaction stuff to Thunderbolts itself, but it's widely agreed on that this is one of the best MCU projects in a long time. Okay, and
Yeah.
everybody has just flocked to the positivity behind Thunderbolts. What is it, kind of broadly, what is it about Thunderbolts that has made it what it is, that's made it so good, that's made people really agree, hey, obviously the joke, MCU's back, we're not back, blah 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 blah. But why is it like MCU back? What about Thunderbolts makes it that?
I think if you look at like the most successful like ensemble team movies, it can always be traced back to the fact that like each character in that team is so entertaining. And like each person is just somebody like you want to watch more of. And I think every single members, maybe aside from Taskmaster, I'm not counting her, obviously. But each of those people are like, man, I want to see more of this character. And you keep going back to the movie, and I think when you keep going back, it just gets better every single time. And I think forming the dynamic that this movie has with a team is the same with like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like when you form a good dynamic of people that can interact with each other in such a like unique and interesting way, it's always going to make people happy and want to keep going to see it and talk good about it. And all the edits you see on TikTok because they just want to see more of these characters. And I think this movie does that so well.
Absolutely. And I think I really love that comparison too, because a lot of times it's getting a lot of different comparisons to the OG Avengers, obviously with them being the new Avengers and them rebranding. Okay. But I think they're way more similar, like you just said, to the Guardians of the Galaxy in the fact of their vibe and how they work together, right? That's not being brought up enough, I don't think, of how they all interact. And it's the constant comedic undertone to them working together as a successful team that's making them so fun to watch. You know?
Yeah. But it's also like it's also fun to see a team of or a group of people that are more realistic in terms of like they feel every emotion. So like it's funny at times, but at times you also cry, and at times you also like feel for these characters and watch them in the action sequences. It's not just like them making you laugh, but it's also like every emotion and seeing every emotion portrayed from each of these characters. And I think it also does a really good job of that. I think it could have done more with like the emotional stuff from characters other than Yelena, because obviously this is a Yelena led movie, but it still does a pretty good job in my opinion.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Well,
and we'll get to some of the negatives too in a minute too. What do you think is one of the biggest positives away from Thunderbolts in general? Just the biggest takeaways and team stuff, whatever. Like,
I first of all genuinely love the movie, and I think the team, kind of the ensemble, how they interact together, I think is something we hadn't had. Obviously, we've been missing the team up movies. I don't think we hadn't had a team up movie since Guardians 3. That's not really a team up movie. Mm-hmm. But seeing these characters, seeing these characters come together for the first time was really exciting. Seeing the way their chemistry on screen is excellent. We already knew that Florence Pugh and David Harbour had good on screen chemistry from Black Widow. Yeah. But getting to see that in a bigger scale was really nice, and seeing how I think Wyatt Russell was, everybody's talking about how good Florence Pugh was, and she was excellent. She was outstanding. Carried the movie anytime she was on screen. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed getting a full movie of Wyatt Russell as U.S. agent. Right? Yes, he was really good. And David Harbour, anytime he's on screen, provided that excellent comedic timing. He was awesome. And I think that's something I think it's a little disappointing that it didn't do better box office. I'm scared that Marvel's gonna kind of take that as people didn't enjoy it, because I promise the people, I hadn't heard anybody say anything bad about it.
Yeah,
and it's something I would go watch individual movies for each one of those characters. That's how good those characters were. And I think Marvel's kind of been missing that, and I'm really excited to see the future of the new Avengers in Marvel.
It's definitely introduced a lot of interesting new dynamics. The biggest thing, which I think came as a bit of a shock sitting in the theater watching it, was the new dynamic between Sam and Bucky now, who we've talked about Bucky being in a really tough place now, and his, being in his new best friendship with Sam, right? But he's obviously tied in to these guys. So, how does that play moving forward?
That's a big question. It's got to be answered.
It's a new Civil War setup that they got going on here. Yeah,
and that's something we could get. We're back to the Avengers. They're in between the two movies. We could get a Civil War too.
And I think that'd be crazy if it escalates to that because of marketing rights. That'd be a little nuts. Like, obviously, the Civil War basis of the Sokovia Accords and people dying and everything. Like, that's, But it's going to be super interesting to see how it plays out and how they tie in. Because they've introduced kind of a big, subplot point that they could run with going into Doomsday, which is, a a cataclysmic,
Yeah.
you know, comic event. So I wonder how that's gonna, how do you think that's gonna? How do you think they're gonna play those dynamics into something like that?
Yeah, I don't know because I've also been thinking about that. Like, it's such a like that plot alone could be its own movie, but we're getting Doomsday, so I don't like. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I don't know if it's gonna be more of like a subtle tiff that they have, or if it's gonna be a big part of the movie. I have no idea. It's gonna be interesting though. I hope they do address it because I think it is a really cool like I don't know dynamic between like
Yeah,
the
it's
two
cool.
teams.
I hope it's
Yeah.
genuinely addressed, not just like a swept under the rug. Like, I mean, Doomsday's gonna be massive. Like, we're gonna have Avengers versus X-Men. We're gonna have Fantastic Four versus Avengers versus X-Men. Fantastic Four getting involved. Like, are we gonna have time to even address this? Which is, they have to. They have to in some way.
Because it's such a cool sub point that everybody picked up on. So you can't ignore it at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think, but they can find a way for sure.
They could.
Biggest problems with Thunderbolts that you had, initial major problems, or not even problems, but obviously things that didn't leave you as satisfied as you'd like.
Yeah, I think the biggest, I've been saying since the first time I saw the movie was the biggest thing I wish that they did was when they went into the void, or we saw Yelena go into the void and like go through all the rooms. I wish we got to see every character go through the rooms. That's the only thing I wish they would have changed, honestly, because I think that would have given us more for each character and it not feel so much like just a Yelena movie.
Yeah.
I wish they would have given us that. But what they did was cool.
Incredibly cool. And to see, I think the coolest one of all of those, I bet would have been Red Guardian, is what I think.
Yeah. That's who I think of specifically, is who I wanted to see.
Because he's such a comedic, he is the comedic relief, obviously, and he's super good at it. But he's also like, I hope they dive into him more as a physical, like, legit powerhouse, as a super soldier. He is the Russian version of, Soviet Union version of Captain America. And so to see him in his heyday and at least kind of dive into that a little bit, I hope.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they definitely could have dove in. I think, I don't think we needed to see Bucky's because I feel like we've seen a lot of his stuff play out on screen already. But Red Guardian would have been sick. I would love a Red Guardian prequel movie. It'd be hard to cast somebody to play a young version of him as good as David Harbour does it, but I'd watch it. I'd be down for that.
Bryce, you got it.
And that's something that could have some momentum behind it too. And a true, like,
I know we're kind of done with like the Disney Plus stuff, but that'd be a great Disney Plus, straight to Disney Plus release if they wanted to.
Or even one of those just like, they're doing. Well, they only did like one of these, I think, but like special presentations.
Oh yeah,
like the little short, like like an hour,
incredible,
15. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, that'd be interesting for sure. One of my biggest things, sitting in the theaters, which actually had me really scared. When I watched it and it happened, and I kind of sat there and groaned a little bit when it happened. And you've actually touched on it in the video, Jenkins, but talking about as soon as, and you called it anyway, but spoiler alerts now for everybody that hasn't seen Thunderbolts at this point.
Yeah.
But Taskmaster getting killed off, which we knew would happen, right? But I still hate that it happened because Taskmaster is such a major player, could be such a major player. Obviously, they kind of decided the direction they were going to go with the character, and it is what it is. But then, and obviously you said you made the mistake of watching Black Widow directly before, which is kind of my fault because I suggested that you
yeah, I blame you for that.
Yeah, that you touched up on Black Widow again. But yeah, and then to have Yelena have almost zero reaction.
Almost. She does have a little bit.
Right.
But
almost
not
no
enough,
reaction. Yeah. But then the reaction's only touched on for how many seconds? Do you get a Yelena facial expression,
Yeah.
And that's like a traumatic thing that just happened.
Yeah.
So
well, I was
a little nervous about how they were just gonna play through everything. So that was and I'll say I guess I'm a bit more on the hotter takes of this, but John Walker is still having to grow on me a little bit. I thought you were excellent as him, Jenkins. I do think that.
Thank you.
I think you were excellent.
I really did try, man. I tried.
You were great in the movie. But
I can only do so much with the script. My bad.
I think what made me love Wyatt Russell as John Walker in the movie. We had just watched 22 Jump Street for the first time right before we went and saw that movie. So he was already like, I had a warm spot for him in my heart already.
Fresh.
But no, like you said, other than like the 30-second eulogy, Taskmaster really got done dirty. And the MCU, I think the MCU reboot, whenever that does come down, I think we'll get a much more different Taskmaster. Because like in the comics, like kind of a Deadpool-y vibe. It's in the comics, it's Taskmaster's a guy,
Right.
and a lot more funny and like kind of quippy type guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be something very different. That may be why they did it this way. So that's a character we could cycle back on 10, 15 years down the line, do it way different.
Sure.
Kind of like they did with Deadpool.
Right.
But my biggest thing was something that they could have. I'm a big fan of just sticking to like the comics. Like of course you got to do some stuff different, but in the comics, the Sentry and the Void, the way they do him at the end, where it's just like I can't use my powers, or else the Void comes out.
Right.
Very different from the comics.
Okay.
In the comics, he uses his powers to wipe everyone's memory of his existence, and to wipe everyone's memory of the Void's, and even his own, that he's a superhero.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that obviously couldn't do that because they just did that with Spider-Man. They just did that with
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man No Way Home. So I guess that's why they didn't go that direction. But I would have loved to see that play out on screen, where after everybody's out of the Void, it's like they look around and Bob doesn't even know who these people are. They don't know who Bob is, and we go from there. And then come a big moment in Endgame, or even throughout Endgame, like he has a side quest of like trying to it's like I can help. Like I promise I was a superhero, and that would have been really exciting. But yeah, I think that was my biggest qualm with the movie because
Gotcha.
I watched it twice and it got better the second time. I didn't have too much beef with the movie in general.
Yeah, it was super good.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think they have created a big problem with making the Sentry, who he is, what he is, how strong he is. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I also, obviously I wasn't super familiar with the source material anyway, but I kind of knew, in general what it was. But for him, I'm super not high on somebody being like this from something man-made, This is a man-made product that they created, and he is, now, like they alluded in the movie to him being stronger than Thor.
I will say here
directly.
Run the ones with Thor right now.
Directly him being stronger than Thor, they alluded to in Thunderbolts. So that's kind of crazy, but I'm excited to see where they go. I thought the movie was fantastic, and they're cooking right now.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the ramifications. He's obviously going to have to use his powers in Doomsday or Secret Wars, and there's going to be some real. We're probably going to get another trip to the Void for some characters, who we haven't seen.
Right.
Maybe get a Doctor Doom trip to the Void, which would be real exciting.
Whoa.
That's something.
Wow.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
That'd be real fun.
Yeah.
All right.
I just want to see. I can't wait to see because obviously he's in the movie. We know he's going to be in the movie, but they got to give Sentry somebody on his level to fight that could maybe beat him, or else it's not going to be. There's got to be some kind of conflict there. So what are they going to do to give him somebody that could possibly beat him? What does that look like? Because he is easily the most powerful being we've seen in this universe.
It's crazy. But that's what I'm just saying. They're going to have to.
Yeah.
To where they put the bar right now is going to be insane to how they come back at it.
It's going to be kind of like Captain Marvel in Endgame. Just comes in and wrecks shop. But his biggest problem is that whenever that happens, the Void comes out. So could it be where the Void is I guess they've already beat it once, but he's not going to be a secondary villain in Doomsday or something,
No idea. I cannot wait to see where they go.
Don't know.
There's a lot of ways they go. I'm really excited for that.
All right, Jenks, I'm going to put you in an impossible spot right now, sitting in the chair,
Awesome.
Okay, to close us out. And maybe I already know the answer because of the swapping of your beautiful posters back there. What are you more excited for this summer? Superman, Fantastic Four. Put it on us.
I'm going Fantastic Four. I've said that for 2 years now. Whenever both these movies were going to get introduced, Fantastic Four is my favorite team superheroes ever. I grew up watching the early 2000s movies, and I'd be reading their comics all the time. I love their villains. I love their dynamic in the comics, and it looks like they're gonna nail it in this movie. I love Superman. Don't get me wrong, but I've never been a huge Superman fan, and I'm excited for this movie, obviously, but it doesn't top this.
Let's go.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that's all I got for us. First episode in the books. So
love it.
Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Theseus Reassembled, episode 1, baby. Jenkins, Randy, Bryce. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Let's go.
See ya.